want to leave your weapons on the table, we refuse to serve you." "I say to hell with your damn rules," Curly spat. "They don't apply to us." He took a step to the side, preparing to walk past her, but she stepped to block him. "You'd best get the hell out of my way, woman." Rachel shook her head and pointed to the weapons table by the door. Watching the confrontation from his table, Tom decided he had heard enough of the crude affront to his wife. He got to his feet and walked up beside Rachel. "You boys got a lot of rough bark on you, ain't you? I expect it's been a while since you've talked to a respectable woman, so you most likely don't know any better. Look around in here. You don't see anybody else wearing a gun, do you? So who do you think is gonna shoot you?" He pointed to the weapons table. "Just leave your weapons on that table, and they'll be right there when you finish eating." Curly didn't say anything for a long moment while he eyed Tom up and down. When he finally spoke, he offered a suggestion. "Why don't you stick that table where the sun don't shine?" "I think you'd better leave," Rachel said. "To hell with 'em," Quirt Taylor said, noticing that everyone in the dining room was staring at them. "We don't want to eat this crap they serve in here anyway." He took hold of Curly's elbow and pulled him toward the door. Aside to him, he muttered low, "Ned don't want us to stir up no trouble with the town folks. They'll be hollering for the sheriff." "Let 'em holler," Curly blurted defiantly. But he allowed himself to be pulled out the door, knowing Quirt was right. Ned had a working arrangement with Sheriff John Mason, an arrangement that was beneficial to both Ned and Mason. Rachel took Tom by the arm and walked him back to his table. "Now don't get all upset about that. They just make a lot of noise, and I don't want you getting yourself to worrying about me." She sat back down at the table while he finished eating. "I just don't like people talking to you like that," Tom said. "I know," she said, and gave him a little peck on his cheek. "But don't worry yourself about that bunch that works for Ned Stark. They don't usually show up here at the hotel. They eat at the Buffalo Hump. I don't know why those two wandered in here today, but they're gone, so that's the end of that." "I reckon I'd best go get Rooster," he said. "He ought to be about through eating his meatloaf by now. I'd like to finish up that roof before supper tonight. If I'm a little late, you'll know Rooster had too much liquid refreshments with his dinner." "If you're late, I'll keep a plate in the oven for you," she said, as she walked him to the door. There was a pretty good crowd in the Buffalo Hump for this time of day. That was usually the indication that a cattle herd was passing nearby on its way to market, but it was not the time of the year for cattle drives. Most likely a lot more drifters were attracted to the little town of Bison Gap, Tom thought. He paused just inside the door and looked at Jimmy McGee behind the bar. Jimmy nodded to him and pointed toward a small table in the back corner of the saloon. Tom returned the nod to Jimmy and walked back to the table where Rooster was hunched over a plate of food. "Gunpowder meatloaf?" Tom asked. "Nah, beef stew," Rooster answered. "She didn't make no meatloaf today." "You about ready to get on back and finish that roof? You don't want to have another rain catch you before it's done?" "I'm finished," Rooster declared and pushed the plate away from him. "The tar and stuff's in the wagon. I parked it around back. Let me pay Jimmy on the way out." He pushed his chair back and stood up, released a loud belch, and followed Tom to the bar. "Well, looky here," Curly Williams said, and immediately got up on his feet. "If it ain't that Jasper from the hotel." Quirt Taylor turned to see where Curly was looking. "Damned if it ain't," he said. Then when Curly headed for the bar where Tom was waiting for Rooster to settle up with Jimmy, Quirt called after him, "What are you fixin' to do?" "Just want to say howdy to our friend from the hotel," Curly answered. When Rooster was finished, Tom turned to leave, only to come face to face with the man he had confronted in the dining room. "Howdy, Taterhead," Curly said. "What you doing running around without that little woman to protect you? Don't you know we got rules in this saloon? Just like you got rules in that dining room."